Welcome to Politics Aside. Today, we discuss Zambia's energy crisis, a story of power generation, rising demand, and the challenges that we face as a nation. From the impact of climate change on our hydroelectric plants to the realities of load shedding on ordinary citizens and small businesses, we will uncover the true picture. Most importantly, we will look at what needs to be done to solve this crisis for good. Let's dive in. Zambia is a country with incredible potential for energy generation. Hydropower has been our backbone, with plants like Kariba North Bank and the Kafue Gorge Power Station producing the majority of our electricity. Together, they've powered homes, they've powered businesses and industries for decades. But here is the reality. As Zambia's population and economy grow, so does the demand for electricity. Today, the mining sector alone consumes over half of our power, leaving limited capacity for household and industries. Compounding the challenge is the role of climate change, which has made power generation increasingly unpredictable. In this episode, we will explore how these factors intersect, starting with the devastating effect of climate change on Zambia's hydroelectric power plants. The effects of climate change are becoming impossible to ignore. With Zambia relying on rivers like the Zambezi and Kafue for hydroelectric power, changes in rain patterns and prolonged droughts have taken a toll on our energy supply. We visited the Victoria Falls to see firsthand how climate change is impacting our natural resources. Standing here at the Victoria Falls, I'm reminded of its true awe-inspiring power when in full flow, a sight to behold. Today, however, we are seeing a very different picture, one that speaks directly to Zambia's energy crisis. The falls are reduced to mere trickles, revealing wide rocky cliffs that are usually hidden beneath the powerful curtain of water. The once thundering mist is gone, replaced by quiet, bare rock faces and shallow pools. And we also spoke to climate change experts to understand what it means for our power supply.
Even without data, I think all of us have really witnessed, if you've been around for the past 40 years in Zambia, you can witness that this has been the worst hit drought. And it's really bad because you look at the economic driver of Zambia, which is mining, and mining will run on the energy. And the drought has really made the water levels all inclusive. The surface water has declined, the groundwater has declined. So that speaks in terms of really how huge this is in terms of productivity for our economic driver, but also for the agriculture sector, for our food security. So that talks of how huge this. So you're talking of food insecurities that are there, but also you're talking of disrupted services, including the health services. We've really seen how really that was quite devastating in certain cases where there are these power outages. And we cannot even take away also in terms of our education system that has been affected. So this is really a huge crisis that we could ever think of for this country, because almost all the sectors have been affected. And where your productivity goes down, that speaks of the economic situation of the country.
It is not just power generation that has been affected by the drought. Communities that rely on rivers and lakes for their livelihoods are also feeling the strain. In Siavonga, fishermen are struggling to make ends meet as water levels drop and fish stocks dwindle. Here's what we found.
Manzi kuno ya mapaka ndiye nzeri ya mbili. Kufika kuja kuchimutengo chichachioneka kuja. Ndiye kwa mafika kule. Kwa mena nzani nyari ilikuwa chabe. So tankara affected kuchoka 2020 ayamba kuchepa kubwera mukati afendera 2021 2022 bwera wafika pali manje pali lero pano yaenda manzi so tankana na problem yakuti manzi mwamene yaendera mukati nsomba kulibe ise kuno tinkalira nsomba timpulumukira mu nsomba so nsomba apa kulibe kuyesa kuteya maneti kuchita bwanji kutumpura kulibe nsomba choka muso chape so njara izati paya stizi baba mweti zankalira kusogoro kukuti ipitire manzi kuenda mwamene aendera so tizafa
jatukataya ankani ya manzi kujoga kwa menda menda ajoga masimpe kuzwa mwakalibede kusiko kuno kambo kanhula itawi twambe kuti twakwaniya myaka yotatwe kakunyina manzi taboli kunze aunkabyo kunka mugati so that's why twababu yumu kwa kujana kwamba kuti inswi tahijaniki kwena bwagenda manzi halo inswi yagitobera kuyandawula jakulya mu busena bwo kuti ngabuli bupatipati so ijanika manike mu makeji abe umaba bagaha mu gato bagainga tunonjira mu boundary y'abantu nga Mirandu bakujana mu gati ndiza bakunyanga neti ndiza bakujatandwa ujogera kumpera so jatuyita fact manike kamboga kuti inswi kahitahwi nishiso bafisha manaswe botupenga mbwe munyoba.
While the challenges of power generation often start at the source, the ripple effects reach all corners of Zambia. For ordinary citizens, load shedding has become more than an inconvenience. It's a daily obstacle that affects livelihoods, mental health, and security. In this segment, we explore the struggles faced by business owners who depend on electricity to survive. From barbershops to butcheries, these entrepreneurs are navigating through the difficulties of operating in the dark.
Load shedding just affect money. Kuchoka pena amba benzo pesa kati most of the time bintu tikambopanga maybe tambopanga tamba production tepeleka mu proofa before vika bonda mu event pesa kati manaiti yaeni so izo pesa kati vintu vija vikachoka ile vikangena munani simunga vipange foot so vija pesa kati ni kutaya cheso.
Load shedding cha affect vambiri maningi monga ma businesses so ima pesa kati vonse vimaika mu fridge vimaonongeka monga nyama zonongeka so na business mapesa kati ripansi maningi.
We are not having enough power here in Chirenje. We might find that within 1 week we are just having power like 2 days and then doesn't last like for whole day. It's when the power come in a week like 2 days, it won't last for 3 hours in a day. So as well as here in Chirenje, we are not working. We are not working according the money to find the money we are trying. It is difficult right now.
For the global crisis. So issue of global crisis, Funka wants to understand. Because even women was ZESCO women, but they affected. Once it affected, but some ngaleza beso chabi watirekerera sabi otherwise once chabi funga to understand.
It's chijenze chebaraleta like sebeza like 25% of power. Just to supply for about 100%. So you say 75 yenda kut. Now if banga chireko connect like kulima buildings hapa fupi la yaina ma meter box, they can connect for us.
Otherwise monga ku government inesinifaka kona blame iri yonse.
This year has been tough. Yeah, we had to look for better initiatives to see how we can boost our businesses throughout the tough times. It's been crazy. Yeah, so looking at the expenses like trying to buy solar, trying to have gensets, trying to buy fuel, it's been tough. So there are some measures we have to take for us to try and accomplish that.
Malait sabi monga kuri nene time road dan down malait nale kaidi si sikutika pele malait ni ngabete ndeme ni sakai baba shop yanga sin pedira mu muntu so time yakuti mebini mbelele muntu nizaenda ka bestre kuma kala waenda kusola wayuzinga ukapeza kuti kulibe malaita yaka wacharginga nina machine kaza kucharginga nikacharginga katika machine makala kaniseving ko muri video so sininga danda ole mani kuti maybe government bwanja ava government vevo kiwala ko
okay kwena kwida shidi right teti tubuleme sana obuteko wawe kozi right ni mfula ngatakuli mfula nisi teti tukwata right yawo so echalenga tukwate ko tuma challenges for right na enewe nene ubaba mani kwate olo filafine right ngatakudi tukwata kwa machine ya kucharging then ada machine ya yala tuwafundisha ko umwana ndo ine load shedding so na bonse mwe bale kwata ko challenges yako ati kuni mababa mani wanandi nemwe kuti mwarusha twati onto machine twa kucharginga mune charge ko so that walepo bale wamya nani kani wale balance pia right ishina mwa at least mune pushinga kona nani kani business yenu ile yako pantage yemkwa so kuri bali abonse bale danda ulatawe ubuteko shani tabule bomba shani yawe ichirogeshe mfura nilesa so bonse turo ke panste kwa tile so mune ngatupere mfura i challenge ya right kuti apwa emkwa hii so ningafamu kwa ina randa kofie wanesu.
ZESCO, Zambia's national power supplier, sits at the center of this crisis. From aging infrastructure to rising cost of maintenance, the challenges they face are enormous. But what is ZESCO doing to address these issues? How do they plan to meet the growing demand for electricity in Zambia? We spoke to Mr. Vixon Mkube, the ZESCO board chairman, to get a deeper understanding of where we are and what lies ahead.
The drought is not what has led us here. It's a collective failure that we have had as a country since independence. I want to believe that in any situation, we must be able to project the future. We didn't as a country. It's just a collective failure of the country. On two scores, we have enough installed capacity in the country in terms of generators and all these things, but only one thing missing. We didn't project what powers those generators water. We should have done even geographical diversification. Before I even get to the sources of energy, we should have known that the water patterns, the rain patterns, are not consistent throughout the country. We should have, and I'm talking about all of us taking the blame, and I'm talking from the day of 1964, date of independence. We should have known that some of our generations must have come from another part of Zambia. We should have had at least a generation station from every part of Zambia. That way, we have hedged, and I'm using a financial term, to hedge, such that when something happens in one side of the country, we are hedged because the rain will not be the same. If there's drought in the south, there may be rain in the east, in the north, in the west, in the central, and all over. Now, since we did not hedge, we find ourselves in a situation today when drought in the south affects the whole country. So to me, it's a collective failure, first a geographical diversification. And there's been warning signs. The rain patterns have continued to get bad. And we should have anticipated that. Beyond just the hydros, or let's say the water-driven generations, we should have thought about other sources. When there's drought, there's a lot of sun. We should have thought about that the sun can also, technology has already reached a stage where the sun can generate electricity. Yes. There is wind. I went to a place where there is a combination of the wind and the sun to produce electricity. So in short, if we as a country had anticipated that, we would not be where we are. Now, let me now get down to the impact of where we are, because it's very important. Yeah. We always think about our homes and all this, but let me tell you the real impact. I have a tailor where I take my oversized shorts and whatever for him to make them. I went to see him last week. I'm told he's relocated to Kasama. There's no more business for him in Lusaka. His machine uses electricity. He had to close his tailoring shop and go to the village. I have colleagues who are running what they call side hustles. They used to make cakes. In fact, one of them is my daughter. She used to make cakes for weddings, birthday parties. She had to close her business. Why? When she knocks off to go home, to go and do the cakes, there's no electricity. Now, I am talking about the impact of this thing at a very individual and personal level of every Zambian. I feel the pain because I see it. That is how bad this energy crisis is to this country. Shrinking our economy, shrinking our GDP, just everything is wrong. But however, that's not where we stand. It is incumbent upon us, put in these positions of leadership, to focus in the future. So how are we going to resolve this energy crisis? We have two approaches. No, let me say various approaches. Let me not leave it at two. The immediate thing that will solve our crisis now, let's go solar. And I don't want us to talk about this huge solar plant we are saying PPA you see on TV. No, 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 no. At household levels, starting January, we want to see whether we're cooperating with various models. If you have money yourself, put up solar. We help you seeing how you can apply your money to get a reliable solar system in your house, okay? I have in my mind a figure that come June, 10% of all our domestic, what we call residential customers, must be on solar. How I'm going to achieve that? It must be achieved. The house, right now, every night I dream about the how. But the point is, at least, not just 10%, but at least 10%.
Measures could be put in place. I will give you first one side, which is Kariba Dam, which is known to most of our citizens. Yeah. The installed capacity there is 1,080. But because of this climate change and the drought that we are facing as a country, this site is just producing 220. And this 220 is because of these rains that we have just received. Remember, I'm focusing on the season 2023-2024.
Yes.
This is the time the country was seriously affected with this drought. For your own information, as a country, our demand is 2,800 megawatts. Okay. But currently, we are only managing to have 1,200 megawatts. So with a deficit of about 1,600. So that is a huge deficit. But as a leadership that is being supervised by His Excellency, the President, we have come up with measures. This drought has put us in a wake-up call as government. First of all, this government, what it has done is to come up with new reforms. This is the time, under this administration, we have come up with open access. Open access gives the privileged, independent, private sector to come on board and start answering to this. And you can see by now, a lot of private sector are coming on board in the energy sector to invest in the energy sector. Because these are some of the things which were not there, which were hindering private sector to participate. But today, as I'm talking, private sector participation, it is at another level. Today, in Zambia, because of the reforms that we have put in place, investors will not waste 3-6 months just to look for a license, just to look for a clearance from ZEMA in order for them to put up projects. These are being done within the shortest possible time. They are able to get their licenses. They are able to sign the PPA, the agreement with ZESCO. They are able to bring their equipment without any hassle. Solar is another answer or solution to the problems that we are facing in the energy sector. The rooftop solar system, which was a presidential call, it is working very well. A lot of people have put up these rooftop solars. And the government did not just make such a call merely, openly, but they also tried to put incentives, such as allowing those people who are bringing solar equipment in the country tax-free. That's one of the motivations, creating an environment to motivate our people to start investing in the solar production. So this is how this government is working and how this government is looking into addressing these challenges that we are going through as a country. We have looked at the reforms such as net metering. There is a process that is going on that when you as an individual produces enough power, you are able to sell that power to the national grid, which makes our pool or our national grid to continue having sufficient power. This is where you are seeing this government is putting up interconnectors. In our program of energy sector, we are targeting to do Zambia, Tanzania, Kenya interconnector. That thing helps us not only to import, but also to supply to our neighboring countries. We will be able to trade because the target is just not only to satisfy domestic market, but we are also looking at how to grow the economy. It's through trade. And this has motivated a number of investors in the energy sector. As I'm talking now, I'm looking forward to go and commission solar plants. We have the Samba one, which is going to give us 100 megawatts. I'm yet to go and commissioning it. We have Kafue Gorge Lower. They are also going to commission a 25 megawatts solar system power. We have Intip. We are going to commission it. So there are a number of solar plants that we are going to commission this year to address the power deficit. And these are in the short-term measures. We have also lined up medium and long-term measures that will respond to the energy deficit. This government has gone forward. And this is why I'm saying confidently that Zambia will not be the same. Zambia will not be the same in the way our people, have suffered. This administration is making everything possible to make sure that those will be the thing of the past. People must now focus on how to drive our economic activities. And we will make sure that everything is implemented in accordance to our plan and vision for this country.
The energy crisis is not an unsolvable problem. Yes, climate change and infrastructure challenges have brought us to this point, but there is hope. By diversifying our energy sources, investing in renewable technologies, and fostering collaborations between government, technocrats, and private players, we can create a sustainable energy future. At the same time, citizens must hold all stakeholders accountable while embracing solutions like energy efficiency and alternative power sources for businesses and households. Together, we can power Zambia forward. This has been Politics Aside. We will shed light on issues that matter most. Until next time, I'm Charlie the Engineer. Stay engaged, stay informed.